I'm on various mainstream radios locally and in the greater South Africa, Johannesburg. Radio, I do about 3 to 4 times a week. I assist employees and employers. It's always related to employment-related aspects. Specifically this year with COVID-19 and all of the retrenchments, people need to know what their rights are. I'm Fadia Arnold. I am a practicing attorney in Cape Town, South Africa. That's at the tip of Africa, quite a bit far from Hong Kong. I am an employment specialist. That's what I do. I've been doing that for about 12 years. And what that means is that I assist employees and employers in any labor-related disputes. Just to give a quick example, chairing of disciplinary hearings for employees. I do retrenchments. I do the retrenchment process according to our legislation. And I do negotiations between employers and employees when a dispute arises and it has to go to our certain labor-related forums that we have in South Africa. So that's the gist of what I do. Anything employment-related, any dispute between an employer and employee, I would come in and I would attempt to settle that dispute, or if not, then we would have to arbitrate it, which is what we call a trial in employment law in South Africa. About practicing in Cape Town, I've always practiced here. I attended the University of Cape Town, which is where I received my Bachelor of Law degrees. I did very well there, and I had no intention of seeking employment elsewhere as I have a family. I'm sure a lot of you have that situation where you are going to be practicing in your hometown. So I have been practicing in Cape Town for 12 years, and it's been going well. I've practiced at top law firms, practiced at small boutique firms, and I've practiced in my own law firm as well. This year I started my own business. It's called Arnold Law Legal Consultancy. And what we do, there's a difference between, you don't need to narrow yourself to a law firm. So if you become an attorney, you don't necessarily just need to go the venture of becoming an attorney in a law firm. There are actually other businesses you can actually entertain in the legal arena. And one of those businesses is a consulting firm. So this is where you do, as I said, the mediation between employers and employees. You can still do the retrenchment processes. You can still advise clients. You can still sit down, mediate, settle, and do all of that. So I've decided to this year start the consulting firm where I mainly consult and I don't actually go to court anymore, because I've done about 12 years of court and I think I've moved past that phase in my life. But it's very important that you have some court work experience. I would suggest, that's just an opinion of mine, that if you are following law in any country, anywhere, that you do have some court experience in the beginning of your career at least. Do a lot of guest speaking, especially radio in Cape Town. I'm on various mainstream radios locally and in the greater South Africa, Johannesburg. I'm sure you've heard of that. Is our Pretoria is capital of South Africa. So radio, I do about 3 to 4 times a week. It's always related to employment-related aspects. Specifically this year with COVID-19 and all of the retrenchments, people need to know what their rights are. Employers need to know how to go about the retrenchment process without doing it unfairly and not having a claim against them. So the radio this year has been related mainly to employment law, but I also talk about current affairs in law and other areas of law. For example, I'll dip into some family law, I'll dip into some commercial law. So it keeps it broad, but it's mainly related to employment law, and it gets your name out there. If your name is out there, an audience is listening and they're very likely to contact you for consultation. And that's how money is made. Promoting my business, very important, is marketing. I use social media very effectively. I use Facebook, I use LinkedIn, I use Instagram, and that has gone very well for me. I do a lot of boosting of posts. I do a lot of engaging with other people in the legal arena, and that's sort of how I promote the business. And because people know me as an employment specialist, another law firm or another legal consultancy who only deals with, for example, commercial law will say to their clients, listen, I don't deal with employment law, but there's this specialist that is all over radio and the internet in Cape Town, and she's been working for over a decade in this field, and we're going to refer you to her. And that works pretty well. So promoting your business and getting on radio, getting on TV, doing interviews, that works pretty well. And because other law firms and other attorneys who don't deal in my field then refer their clients to me. So just some tips if anyone ever wants to come to Cape Town. Of course, you'll have to do a conversion course. What they'll do at the main universities, which is University of Cape Town, the University of the Western Cape, the University of Johannesburg, they will probably look at what modules they can accept and what you would need to catch up on. So it's not an easy situation, for example, where it is more easier for us to do a conversion rate to Australia or a conversion to England, where the laws were similar, and it's much easier to become a solicitor from South Africa to England or South Africa to Australia. With Hong Kong, it would be a bit more difficult, particularly if you are not fluent in English, for example, or fluent in our other 11 languages that we have. That might be a barrier that you would have to face. But it is a great place to visit, and it is a great place to visit in terms of doing internships, for example, and just come and see what it's like to work in a law firm as an intern. So I would suggest doing that. Take a holiday up to Cape Town, down to Cape Town, and see what kind of internships you can get into and get a feel for if this is a place you might want to see if you can convert your modules into a full LLB and maybe get into the practice training course and get admitted here. We don't call it a solicitor, we call it an attorney.